The restaurant was buzzing with the evening rush when the unthinkable happened. Families laughed over shared plates, couples leaned close across candlelit tables, and waiters weaved gracefully through the crowd. But at one corner booth, a single dad named Michael sat quietly with his 8-year-old daughter, Emily. She was giggling about how she had gotten chocolate ice cream on her nose earlier that day, and Michael was soaking it in, cherishing the rare night out they could afford. He had no idea that within the next few minutes, everything would change, and what he did in just 15 seconds would leave the entire restaurant stunned. Michael was no stranger to challenges. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise Emily alone. The grief had been unbearable, and the weight of responsibility nearly crushed him. But Michael had made a silent promise at her graveside. No matter what, he would protect their daughter and give her the best life possible. That promise became his anchor, guiding him through long nights of loneliness and days of endless work. Tonight's dinner at the small family-owned restaurant was supposed to be a treat, a break from the struggle, a moment of normalcy. But fate has a way of testing people at the most unexpected times. As Michael reached over to help Emily cut her burger, the front door slammed open with a force that silenced the room. 2 men stormed in, faces hard, eyes cold, and intentions clear. One of them brandished a knife, while the other shoved a customer aside, demanding wallets, purses, and phones. Panic rippled through the diners as whispers turned into terrified gasps. Children clung to their parents. People froze, unsure whether to scream, run, or obey. Michael's heart raced. He pulled Emily close, shielding her small frame with his body. She looked up at him with wide, trembling eyes. "Daddy!" "What's happening?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the chaos. In that instant, every ounce of fear in Michael's chest turned into resolve. He knew he couldn't let harm come to his little girl, not tonight, not ever. One of the attackers noticed Michael clutching Emily and barked at him to stand up. "You! Wallet!" "Now," he snarled, slamming his fist on the table. Michael could feel Emily's tiny hands clutching his arm tighter, her body shaking. He had mere seconds to make a choice, comply and hope they'd leave his daughter alone, or fight back and risk everything. That's when something shifted inside him. His late wife's words echoed in his mind, words she had spoken often during her last days: "Be strong for her, Michael. She'll need you." The father in him surged to the surface, unshakable and fierce. Michael stood up slowly, his eyes locked on the man with the knife. The second attacker was scanning the room, distracted by the frightened diners. Michael knew this was his only chance. 15 seconds, that's all he had to change the outcome. With lightning speed, he grabbed the heavy ceramic plate from the table and flung it toward the knife-wielding man's wrist. The impact made the blade clatter to the floor. Gasps filled the restaurant. Without hesitation, Michael lunged forward, tackling the man to the ground. Years of pent-up anger, fear, and determination fueled his strength. The attacker struggled, but Michael held firm, twisting his arm behind his back. The second man rushed forward, but Michael was ready. He swept the attacker's legs out from under him with a powerful kick, sending him crashing into a nearby table. Chairs toppled, glasses shattered, and Emily screamed, but she never looked away from her father. She saw something she had never seen before, a protector who refused to break. Within seconds, other diners found their courage and rushed in to help. A group of men pinned down the second attacker while Michael held the first firmly against the ground until the police arrived, summoned by a quick-thinking waiter. By the time the flashing lights filled the windows, the danger was over. Michael was left standing in the center of the chaos, chest heaving, holding Emily tightly in his arms. Tears streamed down her face, but they weren't just from fear, they were from relief. "Daddy," she whispered, "you saved everyone." The officers took the attackers away, but the restaurant remained silent, every eye fixed on Michael. And then, one by one, people began to clap. The applause grew louder, filling the room with gratitude and awe. Strangers came up to thank him, some with tears in their eyes. But Michael wasn't thinking about the applause. He wasn't thinking about himself at all. His only focus was Emily, who buried her face in his chest, safe in his arms. Later that night, as they sat back in their booth, Michael tried to calm his daughter down. She looked up at him and asked, "Were you scared?" Michael smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes," he admitted. "But sometimes being brave means protecting the people you love, even when you're scared." That night became a turning point not just for Michael and Emily, but for everyone who had witnessed it. The story spread throughout town, a single dad, ordinary in every way, who found extraordinary strength when it mattered most. It wasn't about 15 seconds of courage, it was about a lifetime of love condensed into a single moment. And as Michael tucked Emily into bed later that night, she whispered sleepily, "Mom would be proud of you." Michael's eyes filled with tears, but he smiled through them. Because deep down, he knew she was right. The lesson was clear: heroes aren't born. They're made in the quiet promises we keep, the love that fuels us, and the choices we make when the world demands courage. Michael had faced fear head-on, and in doing so, reminded everyone that sometimes the strongest warriors are the ones sitting quietly at a booth, just trying to give their child a good life.